Hi there, friends, and welcome to the very first episode of VOlnerable, a mental health podcast run by voice actors where we prove that vulnerability is something to be proud of. And don't you forget it. My name is Kennedy Hibbert. I am a voice actor, I am a mental health advocate, I am a human being, and I have struggled with mental health for my entire life. And that is why I started VOlnerable today. How we are going to start every single episode is the vulnerability of the week, or the VOTW, the VOT dub, if you will. I think it's cute. Basically, I am going to go first before our guests and lay out a vulnerability of mine that either happened to me recently that week, so on and so forth. So let's get into it, because the vulnerability that I have this week actually has to do with this episode that you are about to watch. The episode you're about to watch, I filmed a month ago today, actually, and I did not think it was going to see the light of day. After recording it, I fell into a very deep shame spiral, and I did not look at that footage, I did not edit it, I did not think about it. Oh, I thought about it, but not in a good way. For 3 weeks, because the reason I started this podcast is to make a space where we can have real, genuine, honest, and human conversations with each other as a way to inspire you, my beautiful listeners, to be able to do the same with the people you are close with in your life. And after recording that episode, I was so ashamed of myself because I did not accomplish that. It's almost ironic. In the podcast that I designed to be genuine, I was scripted, I was rigid, and I was incredibly nervous because of it. It's funny, in the episode you're about to watch, I have a conversation with my guest about active listening, about being in the moment, and yet I was in my head during that conversation. But I am going to share this episode for a few reasons. First of all, I feel very vulnerable sharing this episode because I was so ashamed of myself. But I know that if I can't share what's vulnerable about me with you, how am I supposed to encourage you to do the same? I'm very proud of myself for sharing this episode with you. I believe in the mission, in the message that me and my guest talked about today. And also, something interesting about this episode is you are actually going to see me discover vulnerability for the first time. Over halfway into the video, my guest actually calls me out because I was a perfectionist. I was trying to make everything a certain way. And then I finally admitted that I was scared. Whew. So why not have that be our very first episode? Thank you so much for joining us today and for being here and supporting me just by watching this. My friends, if I can do it, you can do it too. Vulnerability is something to be proud of. So that was really scary. Oh my goodness. That was really scary. But I feel a lot better now. And now I'm super excited. Let's start the very first episode of VOlnerable. Hi there, friends. Welcome to VOlnerable, a mental health podcast run by voice actors where we prove that vulnerability is something to be proud of. My name is Kennedy Hibbert. I am an actor, voice actor, mental health advocate, and human. And I'm so excited to have you here today as we have some of the most important conversations that we will ever have in our life. And I have a very special guest with me today to talk all things vulnerability. He's a voice actor known for his roles as Kaname Kuran in Vampire Knight, Fugo in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and Mao in Code Geass. But he's also a voice director known for directing the one and only Miraculous Ladybug. That's not all. This guest is also a marathon runner, an ambassador for the LA Marathon, coach of the Pasadena Pacers, also a dear friend of mine, acting teacher, and my improv workout coach. I'm so happy to introduce to VOlnerable, Ezra Weisz.
Thank you so much, Kennedy. It's a pleasure to be here.
Super excited to have you here, Ezra.
What a lovely intro. Thank you.
Yes, of course. And, all of it is true. You do so much in your life and every day. And something that I have to admit is you are one of the people that actually inspired me to start this podcast, because something that I feel very strongly from you is this purpose and desire that you see what you want in life and you go for it. At least that's the way that I feel. And I know anyone who follows you on your Instagram definitely can see all the fun things that you do. You occupy so many different spaces that are so different, but all you feel so passionately about. And I'm curious, have you always been this way? Have you always been a go-getter? Or where did it all start?
I've always been enthusiastic. So if I'm doing something, it's usually something that I love for the most part.
Good.
And if I'm doing something that I love, I'm enthusiastic about it. Have I always been that way? No, because I was always a student in school and I was not enthusiastic about studies or school.
Oh, I can feel you there.
But I was enthusiastic about the social life of school and my friends. And I've always wanted to entertain and perform and put on shows. And I was very enthusiastic about that at a very young age. I remember being in middle school and getting a couple of my friends together and saying, hey, let's learn some of these song parodies and let's perform them during lunchtime for everybody as a captive audience eating their bagged lunches.
Did you go to public school?
No, I went to a private school.
Oh,
I went to a private
dang it.
school. It was a smaller private school in New Jersey. And yeah, it was, I was very close with my teachers because we had small class sizes of about a dozen or 15. And we would pair our grades together. So sometimes 7th and 8th grade would be together. Sometimes 6th, 7th, and 8th grade would be together. So there was always a little bit of a range of age, and I was always interested in entertaining, either a little older or a little younger.
So you had your high school musical moments of banging pots and pans at the lunch tables
Yes,
for everyone to see.
Definitely. Yes, definitely. Except I was like, hey, everybody, watch the show that I put together.
What did everyone think?
The teachers liked it the most. Kids can be cruel. The teachers liked it. And for me, that meant a lot. I'm the youngest person in my family. And having older people enjoy me was always something that I would seek. Yes.
How many siblings did you have?
I have 4 siblings, 2 older sisters, followed by 2 older brothers, and then there's myself. And then there's the entire generation of cousins that we have, and I am the absolute youngest of the first generation of cousins.
Oh, my goodness.
And there's a lot of cousins.
It sounds
we have
like
a
there's
lot of cousins. Yes.
Oh,
my
goodness.
mother was the second to youngest of 7 children.
Wow.
And then all of those siblings had multiple children. So I had a lot of cousins.
I feel you. I have 5 siblings, and my parents each have like at least 4 siblings, up to 6. And
Yeah.
it makes for some interesting Thanksgivings. That is for sure.
Yes, for sure. But if it was a big household like that, I would either be, I guess what you would call like, I thought I was having fun, but people thought I was hyperactive.
Yes.
But I was having a good time until somebody told me to cut that crap out, and then that would devastate my feelings. And I would hide into my own bedroom thinking I was punishing everyone by removing my company from them.
You were.
I was. That's what I was like. You can't have me then. I'll be over here and I'll pout in my room and I'll wait for someone to beg me to come out because
They're missing out.
They're missing out.
They're missing out.
So it's, that is how I felt as a child, truly. Like I would have lots and lots of fun. I would be purple cheeked and sweaty because I would be running around and playing and playing and playing.
Mm-hmm.
And then an adult would either tell me to, a phrase I really hate, shut up. Or they would tell me to calm down or just stop it. Or they would say something that I would feel the words were formed as daggers, and it would like puncture whatever sort of fun bubble I was having.
Oh, no.
And and I would feel that a lot.
Yeah.
I'd feel that a lot growing up. In fact, I felt that so often, and I would go into my room where I would, in a stubborn huff, I would cross my arms and sit on my bed or lie down on my bed, and I would tell myself, like deep into my own psyche, I'm like, I will never treat people like that when I grow up.
How old were you when you
I was
had
a
this
child. I mean,
realization?
everything is either 7 or 8 in my memory.
Wow.
But it could have been a little bit younger. It could have been a little bit older. But it feels like it was definitely pre-adolescence for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I made a vow to myself, Kennedy, that I was not going to treat people the way that they treated me. And there was one time something like that came out of me. And it was at my own son.
Oh, no.
Yeah. See, what happened was I love M&Ms. Do you love M&Ms?
I love M&Ms. I'm more of a Skittles girl.
Okay.
But I
right
do love
on.
M&Ms.
But I love an M&Ms. I always travel on an airplane with M&Ms. It's good luck. It's comfort. I also know it's survival food. Also, I would go to either cousins' homes Or I would go to friends' homes, and growing up, there was a bowl of M&Ms that would be out. And I thought that was like the most lavish, set about treat you could,
finer things in life.
just go and graze and eat some M&Ms when you
It's like
wanted
grapes in the grapevine.
Yes, but they can stay. And they looked so shiny and so colorful, and I always loved those M&Ms. So on a whim, I was in the grocery store, and on a whim, I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy one of those big bags of M&Ms, and I'm going to put it out in a bowl, and I'm going to leave it in the living room so that I can have the thing that I always wanted to have in my house. And my wonderfully delicious son, Jacob, was a very young boy and loves candy, as children do.
As children do.
And he ate a lot of those M&Ms, and I mean, it turbo boosted his mood, and he was just going everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. And then I raised my voice at him, and I felt awful. I felt awful because I saw in his eyes the sink of like his good time just going straight to the basement of his emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And I was responsible for causing that in him. And I didn't know how to truly handle it in those moments. But after just a few moments of reflection as it passed by, I knew that I needed to treat him with the respect I wanted to be treated at that age.
Yeah.
And I told him that I was sorry. And I told him that that was my fault, that I left those M&Ms in reach for him. Of course, he should eat them as much as he wants. That's his job as a child. That's
candy.
His house. Eat your
Yep.
candy. I left it out for you. So I apologized to him. And I really felt a significant shift in me as a parent.
Really?
No one ever apologized to me. And no grown-up ever apologized to me for ever hurting my feelings.
Well, right, because they're the adults and you're the kid and you're learning and they know better.
Yeah, but I'm I am expressive. I will show you that you hurt my feelings. Mm-hmm. And nobody gave a crap. So when that happened, when I raised my voice, I was like, yeah, what are you running around the house? What are you doing? You're acting like a crazy, right? Whatever it was that I said. I just made that up, by the way. But I could imagine me saying something like that in that moment. But I decided to lovingly apologize and take ownership of it. He was a flipping young child, Kennedy. Most people would be like, let him deal with it. He should know better. But that's not it.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the vow that I kept, that I made for myself to keep. So, having those moments were pretty significant in my personal development. I also learned that children are an incredible audience. And I always enjoy entertaining children, either reading their stories to them or putting on plays for them. I did a lot of children's theater, and I love it because if you can captivate the attention of a child and they're not distracted or blurting out or roaming around, then as an entertainer, you got them.
Oh, yeah.
If their like eyes are open and their jaw is dropping and they're watching you like recreate Jack and the Beanstalk or The Frog Prince or even the story from the book that you're reading, then I mean, there's no better reward as an entertainer or an actor.
And it's not something that comes easy, too.
No. I mean, a lot of people are not good at it.
No. Especially with the younger children. I remember I used to intern at a private zoo, and we would go to kids' birthday parties, and we'd bring, like little animals, like guinea pigs and snakes and stuff. And we'd try to educate them about the importance of taking care of our animals and in our ecosystems and stuff like that. And especially with those birthday parties of the really young kids, actually having them sit in the front row and look up and listen to what you're saying and to understand what you're saying. I mean, those moments are just magical. I mean, how often are you really able to connect with an audience like that? It's easy with adults. We're trained to listen to each other because that's what good adults do, because we're polite and we're this and we maintain eye contact and this. But with young children, being able to communicate with them like that, it's so special. Yeah,
it's special. And it takes a lot for an adult to be able to allow themselves to do that because it's going out of their normal operating system and trying to connect with a very erratic, attentive, non-attentive, distracted, developing human.
And you kind of have to turn up the silly meter a little bit to make them pay attention to you and to capture their attention.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a psychological manipulation.
Yeah.
You say, look at how silly I am. But that's interesting because it lasts for a certain age range. And then once you hit an age where kids start to side talk to each other during a class where they are trying to be the class clown or the funny person to their friends, then that audience becomes very difficult to work with because you're now saying, okay, here's an audience that should be old enough and that should be able to sit down and be attentive and respectful. And I can just hear the murmurers. It's like they're almost like they heckle you. There's an energy that's distracting you as an actor that says, what's going on out there? I feel like I'm not the focus of the show, but someone in the audience is being funnier or distracting. And how can I pull that pod of people back in my direction?
And I'm sure you totally feel that a lot. Something I didn't mention in the intro, but is also true about you, is you are a warm-up comedian.
Yeah, audience warm-up.
Warm-up comedian for a couple different shows.
A lot of Disney shows, a lot of Nickelodeon shows. I've done like your more traditional adult sitcom, like, regular nighttime programming for the major networks.
Wow.
But I found a niche with Disney and Nickelodeon and young adult, let's say family-friendly programming. So Wizards of Waverly Place, there was a show called Liv and Maddie, Austin and Ally, Jessie.
All my favorites growing up.
All of those shows were shows that I did audience warm-up with. I did audience warm-up with my brother-in-law. The two of us would do it together, and we were those two warm-up guys. That's what we labeled ourselves. We're those two warm-up guys. So they didn't have to remember our crazy names like Ezra or Darren. They were like, oh, wait, who were those two warm-up guys? Because there were not many two.
Yeah.
There's always a. And we knew that we were a unique act, so to speak, because there was two of us. Yeah. And the reason there were two of us, I am not a stand-up comedian. I don't have jokes that I tell. I'm a funny person and I can improvise and I can work off of a situation.
Yep.
Darren is an amazing improviser as well. So the two of us, when the opportunity was presented to me, I was nervous. And of course I said yes to the opportunity, but I felt too nervous to do it alone. So I reached out to Darren. I said, hey, Darren, I have this opportunity to do audience warm-up. How about we do it together? And we'll improvise stuff and we'll play games with the audience and we'll work off of one another. He was like, I love it. Let's do it. So we were those two warm-up guys for many, 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 many years. And then Darren's also an animator at Disney.
Right.
And his life got busier. Sure. I got different opportunities for warm-ups where the budget was like, I can only pay for one. So I branched off and continued to do that on my own, while Darren is still an amazing animator at Disney, and he actually teaches improv at Disney to all of the employees.
Oh, that's so cool. And this is actually how me and Ezra met too, is I mentioned it briefly. You coach the little improv workouts that I like to attend just because they're fun and silly, not because I'm a particularly good improviser.
You're a very good improviser. I teach/coach improv because, and that's how you know me. Otherwise, I would be just an improv teacher. But I specifically, with intention, designed the workshop that you attend as a workshop, and I try to remove the teacher label from myself because I want people who feel like they've already gone through classes or have had improv experience or are performers already to a certain degree to feel welcome and comfortable and not to feel like, oh, I don't want to do something if you're going to give me lessons or teach something to me. I want it to be a place for people to work out because so many amazing artists were feeling intimidated to perform ever since the pandemic, when a lot of venues and opportunities just started to close down. Or even just that 2-year gap where people are like, I don't feel safe being in a public place. Theaters aren't available to me. Everything is on Zoom. And I have amazing, very talented improvising friends. And they were expressing to me their anxiety about performing. And then they started to doubt their abilities because, like most things that we become really good at, we exercise those things.
Yeah.
And if you don't exercise those muscles, they start to soften and atrophy and you lose them.
Yep.
And then you are intimidated and you don't have the confidence in yourself to say, wait, I am good at this, because you're not putting in the work. So then, do you want to actually put yourself in a place where you may be confronted with the fact that you're not as strong as you used to be? Or would you rather do nothing and live with the memory of, oh, I was a really good improviser, but I don't want to test that. I don't want to ruin the vision
the image,
of the
yeah.
image of my glory years. I don't want to ruin that by recognizing, oh, like if you're a track runner, right? Like, oh, in high school, I ran the mile in whatever,
And I was
7
the best
minutes.
in the class.
Right.
and-
I was the star. You know what? In my drama department, I got all the roles. I was the lead in everything. And then you go to Hollywood and you audition for everything and get nothing.
Yep.
You're like, that is a dream killer, right? So I thought that was not fair. So I wanted to create an environment, and I wanted to make sure it was very, very low stakes for everything. Very low stakes with money. It's like very, very little money. Very low stakes with time commitment. It's just 2 hours, and it's only if you want to. There's no like sign up for 8 weeks or 3 months or here's a tiered program. It's just come and work out. But I mean, I am on the sly throwing in some lessons and pointing out some things because I'm always wanting people to learn.
Yeah.
So in that way, I am kind of teaching it, but I'm also coaching it.
Yeah. And it is such a fun time. It's, I have some personal friends that are in that class too. And sometimes after the workouts, we will talk to each other about like, hey, what'd you think? And, oh, that was a lot of fun. Oh, that was really great. This last session that we had, I think it was, almost 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. You gave us one of those sly little lessons at the end of class that like put the fear of God in everyone.
What did I say?
Attendance.
Do you remember?
Ezra, would you tell us why improv is so important for listening?
Oh, well, I mean, we're constantly engaging with people all the time, and we are not good listeners by nature. We don't have patience for it, and most people don't even want to interact with someone directly anymore. Don't call me on my phone. Don't come and visit me at my house unannounced. Just text me, leave me a message. I'll get nervous if you're calling me. Why are you calling me? Can't you just text it? Like, we want to remove ourselves from any sort of human interaction when it comes to communication.
Especially after the pandemic.
Especially after pandemic,
yeah.
yes. But it was already kind of happening with cell phones.
Sure.
Or
sure.
smartphones.
And social media and everything.
And social media,
Everyone
right.
lives behind that wall.
Right. But to make a connection with somebody and to patiently sit and listen, and the kind of listening, Kennedy, that says, I am not formulating my next thought because I want to top what you just said, or I want to add more to it, and I can't wait for you to stop speaking because now I've stopped listening because I've already thought of my next thought that I cannot wait to contribute, is very difficult to do. And that is a muscle, and that takes a lot of practice and patience. But that put the fear of God in people.
Maybe not the fear of God, but we were talking about it like, wow, that really hit, because it is something that improv so beautifully trains us to solve, is how do we listen without thinking? And it's exactly as you just said, it's the ability to really live in the moment, take in what the other person is saying without being so in your head and so self-conscious about, well, what am I going to say? What am I going to contribute? What's the best thing to say? Oh, I got it. I know what I'm going to say. And I'm going to wait for them to stop talking. Wait, what are they talking about? Oh, it has nothing to do with what I was. Oh, I'm just going to say it anyways.
Right.
So it was very powerful, that little lesson. And the way that you tied it back to the reason we were all there in the first place, which was improv, which is a fun place to just, experiment and have fun and be silly and goofy with each other and make friends. But is a really valuable life lesson. And I didn't even put that together until you shared it with us.
Yeah, I felt that, thank you for sharing that. I felt that listening to a person, giving them, your complete attention, and listening to them and letting them know that you listened to them. All of those little exercises that we've done, like you repeat the thing that someone just said before you continue on, just as an example of an exercise, makes the person that you're holding company with feel very warm and safe.
Yeah.
Because it makes them feel like they are being heard. When, like I mentioned earlier, growing up, people weren't listening to me as a child. And now here you are, maybe carrying around that inner child that we all have that feels like nobody ever listens to me. I have important thoughts to say. How come people don't respect me? And then as an adult, when we start like a new skin in our lives and we're like, you know what, I'm going to walk into an environment and I'm going to be like, this is me and I'm okay right now. And you're going to know me like this. But we carry the person who's like, nobody listens to me.
Yeah.
Right? So if you can give a person that gift, that is an amazing gift. It makes them, here's the really tricky part, right? This is kind of like the shady part of it all. If you want to peel back layers, we are all looking for love and acceptance. And if you let a
What a
person,
shock.
I know, if you let that person know that you're really listening to you, you'll walk out of that engagement and they'll think fondly of you. So if we were in an interview situation and I am looking to hire you and you talk to me, but as I'm speaking, you let me know that you heard the things that I said. When you walk out of the room, I'll be like, you know what, that Kennedy, I like that Kennedy. Right? So if you choose to manipulate such a beautiful tool, then it does have its benefits like that in your favor. If we're talking about being on stage, right, and working as an improviser where it's a very terrifying situation, you have nothing to begin with and you're creating everything, then you need to let your partner feel that they are trusted by you. And the best way to do that is by connecting with them with your eyes and making sure that they are heard by you.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, it's not just on the stage and it's not just to manipulate people. It's one of the foundational things that we can use to better our relationships in our everyday life.
Oh, yes.
With our best friend, with our parents, with our kids, especially, right? We were talking about, I mean, how much do you think your life would have changed if those adults in your life had done that? Really, let me listen to what you have to say.
Yeah.
Little 6-7-year-old Ezra.
Right.
Just how different do you think that would have impacted you?
I would be, I think, a completely different person.
I think so too.
I may also be maybe a bit more of a jerk. Right? Yeah. I might be a little bit more of a jerk because I made that vow to myself to be nicer to people. And if I did not have opportunities like that where I am painfully optimistic, Kennedy. I mean, I'll look at every situation and I can see how horrible things are and try to find some light through them in any possible way. The most difficult experiences that I have shared or that I have experienced in my life, whenever they happen, I tell myself, well, you really need to feel all of this because who knows when a feeling like this will come its way again. And it could be a very terribly heightened anxiety experience. It could be a devastatingly sorrowful moment like the loss of my parent. It could be completely fearful, feeling lost and panicky because I don't know where, my keys are, or I think I lost my phone, that sensation that you feel life is out of control for you.
Yeah. And
when those moments happen, I try to be like, okay, all right, well, let's feel that feeling. Let's be present with it as best you can. Because that is part of the spectrum of life's feelings.
Yeah.
It's not always going to be, let me just feel really good. And I mean, there's just so much that I can be grateful for. I know a lot of people choose not to look at life in certain ways that way, but I have always tended to. I've always felt that way even as a younger person.
Yeah.
That I was on the optimistic side of things.
And so that's something that came naturally to you.
I think so, yeah.
Wow, that is ridiculously impressive.
Yeah, I think it's something that I don't feel like I had to cultivate it.
Yeah.
There have been moments, I really know the moments when I felt like I was in a dark sort of sphere in my life. And they were not long lasting. And I needed to, let's just say, quote unquote, shake out of it. They usually happened where, I would feel so lethargic and unmotivated. And I'd be around some friends, or I was with a girlfriend and a friend, and they were like, let's go do something. And I'm like, you guys go do something. I don't know. Like, no, let's all go hang out. We'll go bowling, or we'll go roller skating, or we'll go to the movies, or we'll go to, and everything that they presented, I was just no, I don't know. No, I don't know. And I know I did not like being in that mood.
Yeah.
And
especially when you're someone who is, say yes to everything, so optimistic, full of energy, right?
Yes.
You've been so enthusiastic ever
and
since you were small.
playful. Yes, and playful. And if we were just doing nothing, I would like to make the most of the nothing and have lots of fun that way. And I was in like this really weird, funky space. And I would say I was maybe 20 or 21. 19 to maybe 19 or 20, somewhere around there. So I was out of high school and I was fresh in college, maybe a year or two into it, which is a very difficult transition period for a person. And if you're not attending higher education like college, it's still a difficult time for a person because now you're in the workforce or you're trying to figure out what to do with your life. Like you're out of the real structure of I have to go to school every day.
Yep.
5 days a week. I have that schedule. I have that to rely on. And now it's like, what are you going to do? So I was in the funk of what that space was for me without really identifying or knowing it. And my friends were like, hey, let's do this. And I was like, no. And then they were like, well, I mean, I guess we'll go. I was like, okay. And I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And I don't even know why. I was just in that mood.
Wow.
I was just in that mood.
So it wasn't even like there was a big life event that changed. It's just suddenly, I mean, was it gradual or did you just wake up certain days and just feel like, no,
yeah, it was probably even within the same day. Like I woke up maybe even fine and then, like all of a sudden like a gray day rolls in and the sun's kind of gone and it's just kind of gray and you can't make out really anything from the sky. So they decided to leave. They're like, well, we're going to go. This is kind of a bummer. I'm like, fine, then go. Right. And then they walk and I lived, it was in my mother's house and my bedroom had windows that looked out into the driveway where their car was parked. And they walked out. I was like, fine, go. And I like listened to them leave. I listened to the car start. I watched the car like pull away. And then I was like, what am I doing? Like a romantic comedy. I was like, no, don't go. Right. So I started to scream out of the window. They couldn't hear me because the music in the car was on already. And I was like, no. And I was like in a fever, like in a panic fever, like, ah. And I ran down the steps in the way that one like leaps through space of 3 or 4 stairs, like from the landing. And it was the kind of staircase that went down steps and there was a landing, turned and went down further.
That's exactly like my house. I can imagine because there were days when I would do the same thing. It's like you run down 2 steps and then you leave and you boom.
Yes. And I did that, but I did that in a rush, Kennedy, to try and catch them. So I made it to the landing. And then when I made it to the landing, I jumped to go down to the ground floor. And when I jumped, I hit the top of my head on the bottom of the 2nd floor and fell backwards. Oh my god. Got up. Because right now, my sole purpose in life was to stop them. Opened up the door, opened up the door, running after them as they were driving out of the cul-de-sac and onto the main road. I was like, no, don't go, no. Saw the brake lights hit. They stopped. I opened up the door. I was like, don't go. I don't know why I'm being such a jerk. I'm so sorry. And like started to cry about it. And I'm holding my head and I'm like, and I hit my head. And it pulled my hand down and it was covered in blood.
Oh, no.
And then I was like, they're like, oh my God, Ezra, your head. I'm like, oh, I hit my head. No. Like just freaking out, right? And then they were like, okay, well, cool. We'll have to take you to the hospital. So I got in the back of the car. I closed the house up. I got in the back of the car. They drove me to the hospital. And while I'm in the back of the car, I said, well, at least I thought of something for us to do. Like, so pathetic. So pathetic.
You are a comedian.
I'm just like pressing my head. I'm like, like trying to find the bright side of all of it. And now, of course, I was apologetic. And I was, I was like, I don't know what was the matter with me, but I needed to have like some sense knocked into me, so to speak.
That is crazy to literally feel so abandoned and then to hit your head and
Yes.
you are bleeding everywhere. You're on your way to the hospital. Well, at least
Yeah, right. We thought of
I found
something. Thought of something for us.
That is a level of optimism I aspire to get to. It is one of the coolest things about you, Ezra.
Oh, thank you, Kennedy.
I see your joy for everything that you do. I mean, let's talk a little bit about running.
Oh my God, yes, I ran this morning.
What that means to you. I
love it, yeah.
Why do you love running?
Why do I love it? Oh, okay. I mentioned early on that I had a lot of energy as a child.
That's right.
So I am not competitive. I don't like to play sports where it is our team needs to get more points than your team. Mm-hmm. I don't like that.
You don't need to be first place.
I don't need to be first place. I don't like wrestling or boxing. I like to watch all of these things. I like sport, but I don't want to participate in them. And I like to participate in group supportive activities. And I was never athletic, and never being athletic and never involved in organized sports. My parents were Eastern European Jews that were Holocaust survivors, and their interest wasn't in putting their kids in Little League or in basketball or in soccer or any of those sort of, normal youth activities. My activities were do homework after school and watch TV and kind of use your imagination and play with your toys and wait till your father comes home and have dinner and then shower and go to bed.
Wow.
That was kind of my life. My life had a lot of television as company. And a lot of the things that I watched were inspiring me as an actor to want to do that kind of thing in my life.
That makes a lot of sense. Sometimes media can be our best friends,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, for sure. Media was my best friend. And I recently put a few things together because I like to wake up early in the morning, even though I don't need to wake up early in the morning. But I do like the quiet of the morning. My brain is sort of better and more creative in the morning than it is at night. And I like the feeling, and this definitely tacks on to the optimism part. I like the feeling of waking up with a brand new day and the day starting and life being sort of quiet and tranquil, and then slowly like more and more activity is happening.
And the sun comes up and then you have people walking around saying good morning to each other. I love morning walks for that reason.
Yeah, I do
the
too.
Community, like the human aspect of good morning, good morning, good morning is a way to like greet each other. Oh, it's so special.
I love it.
Continue.
I love doing that as well, especially when somebody looks like they're, whatever they're carrying, either it's their sleep or it's the burden of their life or whatever it is. But when I pass somebody and intentionally make eye contact and say good morning, and they look at me and then they're like, okay, good morning. They realize like, yeah, I can find a smile.
Yeah.
Like I'm not telling like the person, hey, smile and say good morning back to me. Because that's stupid. Like if they don't say good morning back to me, they're doing their thing. But the people that like do make eye contact with you and do hear your good morning and they do want to reciprocate your good morning, that is a really lovely feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you bring that smile to people, and even if they are just kind of like, doing their thing, minding their business, and you're just, good morning, I mean, they can't help but smile back, right?
I love it. And that I do get a lot of that with running. I got that today. I ran a half marathon this morning.
Man.
And I run in the Miraculous Ladybug running outfit.
Which is so fabulous, by the way.
Thank you. So I'm 6'1", and I'm wearing a very ridiculous outfit adorned with a tutu, and I've got glasses that look like they're Miraculous Ladybug, and I overheard somebody today say to, it looked like his wife, an older couple, he said, somebody lost a bet.
No!
I was like, dude.
Okay.
So just to let you know, like some people definitely see it as ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
There are always those apples in the bunch.
Right. But I am out there for those little kids that are on the side cheering on their family member or their parent, saying like, and they'll watch me go by and I'll keep looking at them and I'll wave or I'll do pound it with them or anything like that. And then I see them like, oh my gosh, look, it's Ladybug. Right. That kind of stuff. And then I hear a lot of stuff like, hey, Ladybug, hey, way to go, Ladybug. And then there'll be occasional Is that Miraculous Ladybug? So
You go, yes, it is.
yes, it is. So I started running because I was engaged to my lovely wife, Sabrina, and we were living in Los Angeles and getting married in New Jersey. And in New Jersey, you would get a banquet hall and a caterer and a florist and a videographer and a band, and you're done. You just got to wait for the wedding. So we picked package A from the banquet hall, which had this catering menu and this floral arrangement and this band and all those things. So a lot of the work was kind of done. Yeah. And then the waiting took place. And of course, I wanted to get in good shape for the pictures. I wanted to feel good about myself. And I was sort of unhealthy, skinny fit artist kid. Sure. Like all of your friends are, pretty much, right? Like all of your friends are. And it's like, my metabolism is working, my genetics are working, my age is working. I can just kind of be me, and I look kind of good the way that I am. But I was at a place in my life where I'm like, you know what? I want to be in better shape. I also wanted to burn off some of the extra energy that I had. And I realized that it was so beneficial for my mental health that I would go on these runs. And then after the run, I would feel in my body way more grounded, able to face my goals and work towards them.
I absolutely love that. And I love what you said about realizing, how important it is for your mental health and doing that because you love yourself.
Yes.
Something I feel so passionately about is doing things out of shame versus self-compassion. And you get a lot of that, specifically with starting exercise, right? A lot of people want to go to the gym and they want to get in shape, but for a lot of very shameful reasons, because they don't like their body. They're very mad at themselves. They want to change. But the benefits are so much greater when we do things out of self-compassion, doing it because we love the way it makes us feel, because we love the community that it brings us. And first of all, it inspires us to keep doing those things. That's why I personally think that a lot of people stop going to the gym immediately after they start their shameful process of, I just need to go to the gym because I suck. But exercising, and not even just exercising, but just other habits, eating healthy.
Right, nutrition modification.
Absolutely.
If it's shame-based, it drops off.
If it's shame-based, it drops off, and then that's where the shame spiral comes in. I mean, that's what they literally call it. My mom is a psychologist.
Yeah.
And she talks all the time about
shame
spiral.
For sure. I've used that term.
Once you get a little bit of it, you just get sucked in like a vortex. But self-compassion, doing things because you love yourself and you want to better yourself, it is so much easier to wake up in the morning and get out of bed with that in mind. If you were laying in bed and I was standing over you and I was being like, you get up, you suck, and you want to live like this your whole life, get up, you stupid whatever, versus like, oh, good morning, my friend. It's so good to see you. It's a beautiful day. You look lovely. I think, you'd feel so amazing if you went for a run or here, have some breakfast. It's so much more motivating.
I agree. I have someone within my running community who I had a fair amount of patience for this person. They're a challenging personality. And the thing that made me protect myself with this person was I had to put up a boundary. At first, I was always going to entertain the weird, sharp things that they would say. The sharp meaning like they were prickly to me. Like I would receive them and they just did not feel like they were comfortable things. And this was around the earlier days of the pandemic where I still encouraged people to go outside and exercise. You don't have to be in a group of people. Running you can do all by yourself.
Yep.
You don't have to include, or if you do run with a group of people, obviously we did everything that we were told to do. We're staying far apart from one another. We're going to wear buffs or masks when we all run together. We are not going to cough or spit or do these things. We're going to run 2 by 2. Right? And we're going to stay 8 feet apart or more because we're out on the trails. But it was important for people to feel like they weren't trapped in their homes and that they could still exercise and wake up and feel good about themselves. And I was a huge advocate for that. This particular person in the running community was using a shame tactic and pointing out things that I was saying and doing and practicing and shaming me for it.
Shaming you?
Yeah, shaming me for it.
Oh my goodness.
And I was already my patience had run pretty thin with tolerating this person's, vocal behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And when this happened, that's when I had to find a comfortable boundary to practice and be like, you know what? I don't have to be the person that always says a greeting to this person. I don't always have to go out of my way and make them feel comfortable or welcome. I can exist and they can exist in this big community space.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the other hundreds of people are doing when we would gather. I said, I can let them be. And I just don't need to interact with that person the way that I used to anymore.
Yeah.
And they had said that shaming is a very important learning tool. And that's how I responded. I'm like, I disagree.
Wholeheartedly. Oh.
I'm like, I don't want to be around. I needed to put my own protective barrier around that person who does believe, very firmly believes that shaming is a very adequate learning tool. Mm-hmm.
I hope they're doing okay.
I still occupy space with that person. I saw them over the weekend. It's not comfortable for me to live with boundaries with people like that.
Yeah.
It's not comfortable for me. I want to always let you know that you're welcome.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see you. And I'm looking forward to sharing space with you in the time that we have together when we're in the space together.
Oh, and I totally empathize with that. I feel a kinship. I very much feel the same way. I had someone tell me last week, Kennedy, you can't be friends with everyone. And I was like, why not?
Yeah, why not? Why can't you? Why can't we?
It's so fun to meet someone new, to extend your hand. Hi, I'm Kennedy. It's so nice to meet you. Where are you from? What are you doing? Tell me all about you.
Yeah.
But when you get this negative energy, it's like you're burned a little bit. You're like, oh.
That's why we can't be friends with everybody.
Yeah.
Because they show us that we can't be friends with them because they're not good for us.
Yeah. Which is a very hard lesson to
very
learn.
hard. I'll even try and overcome that. In my past of my life, I have been like, oh, you know what? That person really hurt me. How can I win favor with them again?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's why can't I just let that person go?
Mm-hmm.
The people are puzzles to me sometimes. And I don't mean I see them as a puzzle, but it's as my job is audience warm up as a really broad stroke on this particular point. Audience warm up is so intimidating. It's a frightening job. You'll have 150 people sit. They're all strangers with one another. There'll be groups that are a family, or there's a group from a school, but like one row to the next row, they don't know each other. And they're all expected to sit there for about 4 hours and laugh at the filming of a sitcom. And then before any of that starts, the warm-up person, for about 15, 20 minutes before they'll show a previous episode or even start rolling the actual sitcom for the night that they're filming, I'll get up there and I get on a microphone. I don't have a script. There's a little bit of a routine that I'll say, to sort of like get some engagement. But my job is for all of these strangers to drop their barriers and do something that's very vulnerable, and that is share their laughter with one another publicly.
Mm-hmm.
And I see all of those different components in the audience as a real intricate puzzle where I need to either turn down or turn up different levels so that the audience is now cooking. I've warmed them up, and now they're all able to respond. They'll be. It's a difficult word to say, and I don't mean it the way most people are going to hear me say it, but they have to be obedient because they can't blurt out in the middle of filming. That's going to ruin a take.
Yeah.
They can't get up and walk around in the middle of filming. The creaky noises will ruin a take. They can't crinkle wrappers or, crack a water bottle. That will screw up with the audio and ruin the take. So they have to be obedient, right? They also have to know that I'm the person that will help them, like a fire marshal or a hall monitor or something, right? I'm there in case of emergency. And I am in charge of making sure that they have fun. And by doing that, I make myself be the most silliest person, the most childlike, silly, foolish, right? I say, look at how ridiculous I am.
Which is extremely vulnerable.
Very, very vulnerable.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, not only is that vulnerable, Kennedy, but I'm doing it in a way where I'm like, please also like the shit that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because it's ridiculous.
And we talked about earlier, like, doing that for kids' shows.
Yeah.
That is one thing.
Yeah.
Getting to that level in front of adults, stranger adults, with a mission that you need to make them
it's a job.
Like you.
Right.
That's
and
a
then I
lot
have
of
people who
pressure.
are watching me saying like, well, if he doesn't do a good job, we won't have him back. Or if he says the wrong thing, he's fired.
That's a lot of eyes.
It's a lot of
That's
eyes.
a lot of
Yeah.
eyes.
And it's also a lot of, people are walking into a taping of a sitcom. If they are not fans of the show already, like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. Most of the people that are seeing the taping of a Disney show are bringing their kids. So there's usually 3 adults. There's two of the parents, and then there's maybe an older sibling, and then the youngest person who's like, I love this show. And they're all sitting through it for them. And they don't want to be there, and they also don't know the show. So they don't get the humor. They're not impressed by anything. So I try and like pull out all the things for them to be impressed about. Like, this is how a television show is made. Oh, look at how skilled these young actors are. Notice how they're changing the script. Look at what this camera person's doing. Look at what that, so that it appeals to the different types of personalities. If it's, the bored older sibling who wants to just be on their phone or is reading a book, which is just a terrible energy suck.
Goodness.
Right? When you see somebody like, you do your show, but I don't want to be here. Like, my job is I want everybody to have the best night of their life. And when they leave, they're like, Ezra, you were so much fun. We had such a great time with you. Can we get a picture with you? You were so nice. Oh my God, thank you for taking care of us. You were so funny. Like I got those jokes. Right? All of those lovely comments
that
as
must feel so
it does.
amazing.
And it is exhausting. I am so emotionally drained. I am sweating and I'm emotionally drained at the end of that night. I drive home satisfied, feeling accomplished. I'm like, that is a hard job that a lot of people don't know how to do. Not only they can't do it, but they also don't know how to do it. Mm-hmm. And leading up to it, like if I know that I have an audience warm-up date on my calendar, like 3 days beforehand, I start to get so anxious. I start to get all in my head. What am I going to do? What am I going to forget? My wife wants to talk to me. She's like, I don't talk to him right now. And then when I come home from the job, I'm exhausted. So they're like, don't talk to him right now. But the next morning, I'm great. And I'll talk all about it and all the little stories.
I hate to say that I relate, but I love to say that I relate.
Please, I want to relate.
I feel that way about today. This message, this podcast is something that means so much to me, and the way that, the audience warm up means so much to you, and you have this responsibility to the audience, and a mission and a goal and an energy that you need to bring out of yourself that is so important that it is nerve-wracking.
Yeah, sure is.
Oh,
yeah.
And
which is why I'm so proud of you. I said so earlier, I'm so proud of you because I know that you're building this and I know what it's like to put attention behind a dream, a vision. And also you're working with the vision that you've established that will change. And it will always change for the better, Kennedy. But the vision of how you want this to be presented. Mm-hmm. And you're doing everything right now to crystallize that vision that you had. This is how I want this to look. This is how I want the exchange of conversation to be. This is how I want to present myself as a host.
Yeah.
This is my idea for the longevity of it all. And where you are right now is so fresh and raw for yourself because you're actually birthing it.
Woo!
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm very, very proud of you.
Well, thank you.
Most people have great ideas and leave it at that.
Believe me, I am shocked at how many times people tell me things that you've probably heard a lot too of, you just went for it. Wow, I'm so impressed. And people would tell me that, and I'm like, oh, no. I wish I could be someone like Ezra who just goes for what they want and has these dreams and just does it. I never actually felt like that person, even though I really wanted to be. And I suppose if I take a step back, I look at my path in life and my career choices and my personal choices, and I realize maybe I was that person all along, but I have this internal belief. And you know, maybe some of it comes from that anxiety of having things that are so important that they are so terrifying and not wanting to go for them, you know? Because what if I mess it up?
Yeah.
What if I
Yeah.
So
Well, again, it goes back to, you know, my friends who were amazing improvisers feeling like they couldn't do it.
Yep.
They don't want to mess up
the vision.
They want to just hold on to it.
Yeah. So there's my 2 cents of being vulnerable. I was very nervous to be here today.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of strength to admit.
I have done audience warm-up for 10 plus years. I am nervous every single time I do that job. Every time.
Every time.
Yeah. It doesn't really pay enough for the amount of emotional collateral I throw in there. It's just, I mean, I put everything of me into a job like that. I also put everything into me with any new project that I start. Because if it's a voiceover video game, or if I'm working on an animated series, or if I'm working on a live action series, or if I'm working at a new studio with new people, it's like, I don't want to mess this
Don't
up.
mess it up.
I'm also a very much a long-term relationship person with friends, with past relationships.
Yeah, I am the same way.
I just want to make it work.
Yep.
I want to be accepted, and I want to make it work. And
Are you scared of conflict?
Oh, I hate conflict.
Nice to meet you. Let's do a high five.
Nice to meet you. Wait, let's do a high five.
You too.
Yeah, no,
Conflict.
I don't mind conflict if it's not mine, because then gives me an opportunity to resolve it for those people.
And that's when you break out the popcorn. I'm totally kidding.
No, I don't.
Totally
I don't like
kidding.
to watch it. I like to. I
To
definitely.
solve it, to be
I like to
the
intervene
mediator.
in a way
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely. But when it is personal,
Ugh. It's tricky.
that is something that I've really had to overcome in the last year. I had some pretty crazy roommates.
With some pretty crazy conflicts, huh?
With some pretty crazy conflicts
Yeah.
that require confrontation. Otherwise, like, if you have a space at home where you don't feel safe,
Yeah.
that is going to destroy you. It
Yeah.
requires confrontation. It is a lesson that I only learned in the last year of just how important it is as a human to be able to stand up for yourself and to create those boundaries that you were talking about earlier with that one person that you know that likes to be very shameful. We want to be friends with everyone, but we just can't, because there are some people that don't allow that to happen. And just, you know, it doesn't have to be because they're bad people. It's just we don't match very well and we can be harmed. To raise those barriers up, especially when you are raised not to have those, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's so hard.
You were raised to not have barriers up, like love everybody.
Love everyone. Love everyone.
that makes
Deal
sense.
with everything. Yeah.
So you mentioned that sometimes you have to have conflict in regards to your roommates.
Confrontation.
I'm sorry, confrontation.
Yes.
Confrontation that dealt with that conflicts,
Yeah.
right? What did you learn about how to handle confrontation?
I learned that there is a way to do it without feeling like a terrible person.
What is that way? Do you want to share that?
Yes,
or-
of course.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. This took a lot of therapy for me. A lot of therapy sessions of me talking to my therapist and explaining there's this problem, it's getting worse, it's getting worse, and I don't know what to do. And it had to just come down to a conversation and a confrontation. And I was terrified because I want everyone to like me. I want everyone to be my friend. What if they think of me bad? Like this person who is basically tormenting me, and yet I think, but what if they don't like me?
I completely relate to that.
Yeah.
So what did your therapist advise?
What I ended up doing was having a confrontation where we did something called stonewalling. And it is where every time they try to get at you and come at you with either manipulation or different tactics, you put another wall down. And for me, that was, I can no longer continue to live with you, with my roommates. And then it would be met with, and I can no longer continue to live with you. But Kennedy, and then come the waterworks, come the anger, comes the this, comes the that, comes every tactic. I can stonewall every time. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, was having to confront someone like that, because I'm so used to, I'll make it work for you. I can compromise. Please, just I hope I'm a good person. Whatever you want.
So with enough time and enough examples or conflict or irritations that your roommate continued to present that you shared with your therapist, after weeks or months of that building, your therapist advised you to say, Kennedy, I think you're at a place where you can no longer live with this person, and you shouldn't be living with this person. And you have to find the strength to say, I can no longer live with you. And that would be okay to express to the person.
It was all of what you just said, except it was me telling that to myself. It was not my therapist telling me this is what it needed to do. It was me confessing that this is what I need to do.
I love that. So I love people, and I love to listen and to talk with people. And I have a good friend of mine who's going through a very difficult phase in their life right now. Life-changing, everything's shifting for them, okay? And they are just a couple of years younger than I am. But, so they definitely have lived a really full life and figured out who they are right now. And life is shifting for them. And they told me, they said, I just want a therapist to tell me what to do. And I said, that would be a bad therapist.
That would be a really bad therapist.
I said, that sounds like a life coach, which I wouldn't advise for you right now. I said, but you do need to have a therapist to ask you questions that you continue to ask yourself for you to figure out the answers that you know you need, and then for you to have the action to do those things.
Absolutely. That's the whole point of therapy.
That's the whole point of therapy. And he was like,
Oh, he didn't want to
I just want someone to tell me what to do. I'm like, I know you do. I know you do.
But it has to come from within. It absolutely has to.
You
there has
also
to be a meaning,
know
a
all
purpose.
along what needs to happen.
It's true. It's somewhere in there. You might not want to acknowledge it, and you might see it but block it away.
Yeah.
But
We're all good at that.
Yep.
We're all very skilled at that.
Yep.
But in our heart and in our head, we know what needs to be done. It's daunting. It's intimidating.
Yeah.
And it could be character redefining. And we don't want to become new people. But whenever we become a new person, we usually become a new person that we like.
It's true.
Which is why we don't want to become a new person as we evolve into the next person. Because we're like, no, but I like this person. It took me a while to be this person. But the truth is, you're going to like the new you you're becoming. You have to love where it's going.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people don't. So they just kind of hold on to who they are.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that definitely resonates for me a lot. I don't know if you feel the same way. Just really hard life experiences that just shake you up and rock your world, and all you can think is, I want to go back. Has that ever happened to you?
I am painfully optimistic, Kennedy. I told you at the start of our conversation. So I know that when anything is rocking me and I'm moving in a direction, I know that it's going to be okay in that place, and that I don't need to hold on to anything that's where I feel there's a vacuum pulling away from me. I know that it's not healthy for me to hold on to anything that I feel slipping away. And that could be with a loved one as they're transitioning or as they passed. That can be with a job that I loved, but it's transitioning and it's past. It's like, it's the thing about, okay, so this door is closing. I'm very much, but I feel the breeze of that open window. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to go towards that because that really is the only option.
Yeah.
But I do want to honor your question a little bit and think if there have been moments in my life. Yes, there have been. There's been a place that I've worked at and I felt that I was kind of getting shoved out. I used to work at a place where I was the guy, the person. If there was a project, it was mine.
Of course.
And sometimes I had projects that were like, they would say, "Oh, Ezra, we so wish we could clone you because we have this other project going on and we really want you to do it." And I'd say, "Let's do it then. I'm sure we can find." And I would work a little bit longer. Or I'd work through the weekends and I'd make both projects happen. And, there was a time when it just got too busy with too many projects. And of course they had to bring in other people. So fine. Okay. But I was still busy. And then I felt this erosion happening. Like I wasn't being called in.
Oh,
I was like,
no.
what? And of course I'm thinking, what did I do to mess this up?
Yeah.
What did I do? How come am I losing favor? What is going on? Is it a mixture of they really don't have a lot of work right now and that's what I've been told? Or am I not top of mind?
It's
am
funny
I
how
not on
it's
a
like
list?
always the first questions we ask ourselves is, what is wrong with me? It's
or,
like that's the
or what did I do to
instinct.
mess it up? What did
Yeah.
I do?
I know. It's never, oh, well, they must, there must have been some. It's always like, this is my fault.
Yeah, but I
Which is
carry that it's my fault.
So,
Yeah, it's not healthy. But I do carry the fact that there must have been something either that I had done or the way that I am, whatever. It's got to be something that's like really, it's the thing, Kennedy, that says, if that's what they decided, then they're going to miss out on me. Because I know I don't have anything that I identified with, like I didn't break something where I'm like, I see the evidence of me destroying something. And I check in with all the personalities and all the personalities seem to be okay with me. But are they talking behind my back? I don't know. Do I care? A lot. Is there anything I can do about that? Nothing. So I have had moments like that where I felt that there was a shift. That shift was incredibly uncomfortable. I would like very desperately for it to not shift, but for the way to stay that it was. But it's beyond my control. There's too many other factors that are playing, which is what life is like. Life has so many other factors that are outside of us, and we will emotionally struggle with how those things are changing, and that we have really. We do the best that we can to stay out of a place where we feel like we're a pinball just bopping around without any control. Outside elements just knocking us around and making us feel dizzy. And something like running gives me a sense of feeling grounded. It gives me a feeling of I am in control of something. It gives me a feeling of accomplishment. Because I went out and I did something. It gives me a feeling of commitment and dedication, because I could easily just say, oh, I'm not going to go for a run. But when I do go for a run, I push myself out the door. I'm like, I'm proud of myself. I feel better about myself. I got exercise. I got oxygen. I got to see things.
friends,
I got
community.
to move, community. All of those things personally, privately, give me all of those rewards. And that's an investment that I put into only myself to make my life better. And when I'm not working or I'm in a void between projects and I think I'll never make any income ever again, I know that if I go for a run, I can kind of calm those thoughts down. I can feel accomplished. And I know that my brain can be like, okay, because when I'm running, I'll work through some anxiety. I'll work through those feelings of darkness and fear that I will never work again, or I can't provide for my family, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'll work those feelings out. They'll calm and settle because they only last for a period of time. And then I'll start to get some other form of clarity, either an idea of a project or what I want to write in a journal now, or because there are moments in my life when I have a journal, I'll carry it with me every day. I don't write in it every day, because sometimes I'm intimidated to write in my journal. But I love my journal, and I love to journal. Doodling or writing my thoughts, or even just documenting the mundane, like I went to pick up the kids here. We had this for dinner here. It's just to write.
Yeah.
And but there's times in life where it's like you just feel so out of touch with things that even my own personal journal, I don't feel adequate to participate in. But when I go for a run, that calms all of that wicked thinking down for me.
Yeah.
Some people go to a gym or do a CrossFit. Some people
Absolutely.
do Wordle, right?
I
Where
go
it's-
hiking.
You
That's
go
my-
hiking.
that's
You
my
do,
favorite.
right.
Yep.
Because why do you like to hike?
I hike for a lot of the same reasons that you like to run. It clears my mind. It is something that is outside of my work that I love to involve myself with. There's a little bit of community. I see some trail friends and we're buds, but it's just so good for my mental health. And I love what you were saying too about it is something that you filled your time with when the projects were slowing down and you just wanted a pick-me-up. But now, even though the projects have picked up, you are still continuing to run because you love it so much.
I do.
Same thing with my hiking. It's like a non-negotiable, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Just something that,
Yeah.
makes me feel so good. I love hiking.
I love that for you. Like I love running for me. It's yours, right? Like you can do it and involve other people, and that's lovely. But you also know that you can do it for
It
yourself.
is so personal. It is so personal. Yeah.
And people do that with yoga. It's a moving meditation is what we are doing. We are doing a moving meditation, which is yoga, which is Tai Chi, which is
great for your mind and your body.
Yes.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah. Did you have somebody say to you, hey, Kennedy, why don't you try hiking for your mental health? Or were you like, it's just something that
No.
you just decided doing?
Yeah, I love nature. I've loved it so much. I grew up in Flagstaff, Arizona, which I don't know if you know Flagstaff. It's the one part of Arizona that snows, and it has a bunch of forests. It's the biggest ponderosa pine forest ever. And when I moved, I lived in San Diego for 2.5 years. I didn't realize how much I missed it and how much I needed it. It's almost like you don't know how good you got it until it's gone, that kind of thing. So when I wasn't hiking, when I wasn't spending time in nature, God, I got so depressed. And then I moved here where I had a little bit more access to, we have some mountains here. We've got some forest not too far away. I started hiking again and I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot how much I love this. I forgot how much I need this. And, it's great for me. I do it for my dogs because I have 2 big dogs that need a lot of exercise. And so it's just a win-win-win. My mind feels better. My body feels better. My dogs are happy. I'm enjoying nature. I don't even have service. I can't check my phone. This is my time. And it's gotten to the point, I used to do it a few times a week. Now it is every single day. Yeah. Unless there's like something really I need to, take my time away to manage. It's like, no, I'm doing that every single day. Yeah. It's just that important.
No, your dogs must love it.
No, they do.
You said something that really sparked for me, and that is, I remember going to sleepaway summer camp. I grew up on the East Coast, so I was going to upstate New York for sleepaway summer camp, and there were times when I would wander by myself. I had a couple of close friends, but I was also kind of interested in girls or starting to become interested in girls, and they weren't interested in me. They thought I was a funny person, and I didn't have like a lot of physical self-esteem. I had personality self-esteem, but I didn't have a lot of like physical. I had a lot of physical insecurities. Yeah. And I felt a lot of rejection from the girls that I had crushes on. And so there were times when I would just like take music and go for a walk around camp and just find places to be alone. And I understood that like being alone and looking out at the lake or sitting someplace by myself was like healing. So I would do stuff like that as a young kid, like 12 years old, right, in summer camp. And then when I came to California and I would like go hiking or be outside on trails, I would get like pings of those memories of being out in nature again. Because the nature that's here is different than the nature that's in New Jersey, but it was kind of similar to the nature that I had in upstate New York. So I was like, oh, I love the way this smells. The smells of these trails in the Angeles Crest
It brings
smells
back all the memories
like, right, maybe some of the same foliage, not all, but maybe there's some similar trees that are here, or just the fact that there's leaves on the ground that are decomposing, or whatever it was. And I'm like, oh, I do love being outdoors. And that's when I started to make more of a shift to like embrace being outside more.
How cool is that? Oh, so you get it.
I totally get it. Yeah. I totally get it.
I love nature. It's so healing.
Me too. Are you the question that they say, are you somebody who likes the ocean, the
Oh, the
mountain,
mountains
or
or
the desert?
the desert? Mountains, 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 mountains.
Same.
I love the mountains. Which is
Same.
funny because I involve myself so much with the ocean.
Yeah.
Like it involves another entire half of my
Yeah, it
career.
sure does. You really are very nautical.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've loved dolphins since I was 6 years old. I do whale watching. I work at the aquarium. I worked at zoos, other aquariums, like all this stuff. I involve myself so much with the ocean, but the mountains are really where I feel at home. Maybe because I grew up in the mountains.
Flagstaff has mountains?
Flagstaff has big mountains. It's the biggest peak in all of Arizona. Is
Okay.
Humphreys Peak.
I didn't
hiked
know
it
that.
once. Yeah, not a lot of people do.
Yeah.
It's a very cool place. So yeah, I'm a mountain girl. What about you?
I'm definitely mountains. So I saw a meme that I shared with my children yesterday. And when I say children, they're 20 and 22. So they're grown-ups. But it said something, it was like a list of a bunch of different quotations like, look at that sunset, look at the sea, look at the, right, all of those, like pointing out little things of nature. Look at the moon, right, all of those stuff.
Yeah.
And I said to the kids, or the meme probably said, I'm the type of person that says, and then had all those quotes, right? So I sent it to the kids and I said, does this sound familiar? Right? And my son Jacob, he responded back, look at the mountains. Because every morning when I would take him to school, we would drive to Altadena and I would say, look at the mountains every morning. And he was like, yeah. And I'd make a little joke about it where, they would like not really pay attention because they were young. But he was like, look at the mountains, Dad. I was like, yeah. It was so sweet for him to say that back to me because I just thought he was just going to say like, yeah, that's totally you. But like he called back something that I did with them like on a routine every morning. And I'm so touched by it because like I miss them when they were young. And I'm so proud of who they are. And I'm like also touched that they were able to remember something about me. So they'll look at mountains, Kennedy. They'll think about me.
Think of you. Wow.
And I think that's really sweet. Because the mountains are so beautiful. Like we love them. And they're so beautiful. And like when you might feel like completely alone, if he looks at the mountains, he'll be like, no. My dad would say, like, look at the mountains in the most beautiful way, like in the most heartwarming way where he should like look at the beauty of the world. And it's very, very special. I love him. I love both of my kids so much. But he just knew what to say. My daughter was just like, heart. But yeah, he knows what to say.
That is so special.
Yeah, he's a sweet boy. And I didn't let him eat the M&Ms.
Oh, it's okay.
Thanks.
Now you can eat the M&Ms.
Yeah, he has as many as he wants now.
How beautiful is that? I love that you're able to have that connection with your kid using nature.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. And to have those little moments. Thank you for sharing that.
For sure. My mother came to this country not speaking any English, and her sister were learning English. They were living in Canada because that's the first country that like gave them like a respite for them to start a life. And my aunt, her name is Jeannie, she says she tells this story. You do have she tells this story. She says, so we were learning English. And they were learning English by, I think the story goes, it was also someone who's not a native English speaker. And they said, teacher, what is the hardest word to say in English? And the teacher went, mountains. Like it's such a hard mouth, like all of the shape that your mouth has to say, mountains.
It is one of the sillier English words.
It is, yeah.
Oh, that is so special. That's so funny. Amazing.
Yeah, I do not care. I love a desert. I don't care for the desert all that much. I'm not like spiritually connected as many, 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 many people are. And
Heck yeah for those people.
Heck yeah for those
Heck yeah if
people.
you're a desert person.
Love it. And the ocean is great, but I can just sit and look at the ocean for so long, and I can't go hiking in the ocean. I mean, I could scuba,
Yeah.
but I'm not a scuba person. I don't want to. I don't
That's
want to
okay.
die.
I got certified. Did you say I don't want to die?
I don't want to die.
That's true. A lot of.
I mean, I feel
Especially if
like
you're a cave diver.
I don't want to.
Oh dear. Yeah.
What are the free divers, right? Where they hold their breath and
Yeah.
go down? Oh, no, thank you.
I got scuba certified and I haven't gone since my certification.
So Jacob is a marine biologist now at UC Santa Cruz.
How did I not know that? That is so cool.
Yeah, he's a junior there. He
Wow.
loves little marine creatures. And you have to become scuba certified. And he's like, but I don't want to. I don't want to do that part. It's like being, in 7th grade and having to dissect the frog or something, or the pig.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that either.
Well, you can say the training isn't that bad. They don't make you go very deep for the training.
Okay,
So
I'll
after
tell
that, you never have to go again.
Yeah.
The training is, I
He'll
had to do
do
that
it.
for
He'll
my
do
old
it.
job. 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring this back a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
With vulnerability and your career as an actor and a director, when you are in the booth and you have to tap in to display an emotion that is authentic and potentially painful, where does that come from and how do you access that in a safe way?
I don't feel like it's unsafe for me to tap into my emotions or to share them. Clearly. I don't feel like being an emotional person and having feelings is something that carries some sort of emotional stigma or embarrassment, like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I know that that's a thing for a lot of people. I think one of the things I liked about acting as a younger person was, oh, wait, so you mean the studying is feelings? I'm in. That you mean
That's so
you
cool.
want me to go on stage and like recall a difficult moment for myself and expose that for you? I'm in. Let's go. I have no problem
So
with
you've
that.
never had trouble tapping into your emotions and,
no.
and displaying those?
No. Usually not. No. In fact, I would I'll listen to any song that makes me cry, or if I'm watching a television or a movie or a commercial or whatever, and it brings up an emotion. And usually it's a song. Like if I listen to Joni Mitchell's Both Sides Now. Do you know that song?
No, I don't, but now I'm going to go listen to it.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, the song is beautiful, but then when I found out the story behind the song in a documentary that I watched, that song became much more significant and deeper and like painful. And when I hear it on the radio, I lose my mind and just bawl. I cannot control it. And when that happens, there's another very clear memory that I have. I'm not even segueing. It's just in addition to what I just set up with Joni Mitchell. So I'll hear the song, I'll start bawling.
Yep.
I was sitting at the kitchen watching on my computer a video on YouTube that someone wanted me to see, which was the story of a father who was training his son to be a runner. And this was either a marathon or it was a track meet or whatever it was. It was an endurance run. And the father is on the sidelines and he is watching his son make his way back into the arena to cross the finish line. But he is exhausted and his body is not cooperating and he collapses and he just starts to flail around. It's a pretty famous video. Like this is it's almost cliche, this video with it pulling at your heartstrings. And it's got Josh Groban singing whatever song he's singing underneath it. And of course, every now and then, this is like old school YouTube, like there'd be like a graphic of telling you the story and then you'd watch more of the video and then it would be like, but he trained with him for months and months. And the father overcame this, the son overcame that,
really
right? And
YouTube.
Right, and you keep watching it, and then you see that the father helps the son up, and the son is just flailing, like he cannot control his body, and he's getting closer and closer to the finish line. But when he gets like almost to the finish line, he lets go of his son so that the son can cross the finish line by himself, right? Yes, lost my fucking mind. I am bawling at the kitchen table, and I'm watching it and I'm crying, and it speaks to me as a father. It speaks to me as a coach. It speaks to me as a runner. It speaks to me as a human. I was just all over with my feelings with this piece. And it was so cathartic and it felt so good. And I honestly can't even tell you what was troubling me in my life at that time that I was holding on to, that this good cry was allowed to release.
And I love that you said good cry, that it felt good.
Oh, God, it felt so good. Yes. I'm so grateful for moments where the door opens up for those tears to come out, because we work real hard to hold those doors closed.
Absolutely.
And we know that those tears are cathartic, and we know it's like, so anyway, so I'm crying at the table. Crying, and my beautiful wife Sabrina, she's like, "Oh, here you go, here you go." Not in making fun way, but like,
no,
like, here.
Of course.
And then she even says, "Okay, kids, you wanted to see Dad cry?" Because it had been of a discussion at one point. So it's like, "Come on up here." And they're like, "Oh no, Dad! Oh no, Dad! Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay. It's just that this video is just so." I'm like, "No, Dad, are you? Oh no!" And they're like looking at me like, "We don't know what to do with Dad." Or we don't know what to do with this person who we love, who's feeling so much right now. I'm like, it's okay to feel. It's okay to cry. It's okay. It's okay.
Don't worry. It's okay.
Letting it all out.
This is great. This feels wonderful.
For sure.
Which is not something that we typically associate with crying. We usually think something's wrong.
Right.
They need something. We need to fix something.
And I'm letting them know in real time that this is all good and this is all normal. And also on display for them, like, it's okay. You're looking at your father, who's telling you he's okay, and who's telling you that he's also feeling, and that's okay too.
And what a lesson! An example to set for your kids, to show that it's okay to feel emotions. It's okay to show them in front of other people.
Right.
That's the whole mission.
Yeah, with the movie's over and I'm crying at the end of the movie, they're like, "Oh, there's Dad. There he is." So I've always felt like with acting in the booth, with material that might be more complicated or complex or heart-wrenching, that I of course, we all do the best that we can to honor the material or the integrity of the original performer if we're dubbing it, but to authentically bring out those kinds of emotions, I feel kind of okay about doing. I feel like it's okay. And I also want to, as a director on the other side of the booth, to create a safe space, a comfortable space.
Absolutely.
For that performer to know that they can feel as much as they are comfortable to allow themselves to feel.
And that's something you bring to our improv workouts as well.
Yeah. I try to do that as well.
Really emphasize it's okay. You don't have to hold back. You don't have to hide. You can showcase and feel whatever you want, whatever you need. And thank you on behalf of my generation and just my friends and myself for allowing us to do that, and for creating spaces in our improv workout, in your audience warm up, in your acting, in your directing, in your running, just to have the people around you feel what they feel, whether that is incredible, deep, painful emotions, or the highest of highs, to laugh, to cry, to smile. You just have such a gift.
Thank you.
I am so glad that we had you on today to share some of that.
Thanks, Kennedy.
With our amazing people.
Yeah.
I have just one more question for you. It is the last question we ask everybody at the end of every episode. It is the most vulnerable question we could possibly ask ourselves. And so for the folks at home, I encourage you to ask this question to yourself. Ezra.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing about yourself?
When I was a fifth grader, we got a spiral notebook that we had to decorate on the front and make it personalized however we wanted. And I still see it because I used to have it, but then someone threw it away by accident. But I still see it. So I still have it. And inside, I wrote a poem that I had no idea how conceited it might sound to anyone else reading it. But I actually thought I was addressing the assignment that the teacher asked honestly, just as you asked me this question. And I wrote a poem that I titled, I Like Me. And I wrote the things that I liked about myself. I like spending time with me. I like, just little things about me. And I feel like I love everyone's company, but I am with myself the most. And I like my own company. And I feel like I can support myself when times are tough. And I feel like I can sort of hug myself when times are desperate. And I feel like I can make myself laugh. And I feel like I can entertain myself. And so I still like me. I like my company that I keep with myself. And again, off of this like conceited notion, I have social media. I have an Instagram account. And what I like about my Instagram is that I can put on Instagram stories and just film little moments of me with me.
I love your
right?
Instagram stories.
Thank you.
They're the best part of my day.
That is me being me with me. That is me saying, I am all by myself. I'm going to sing in my car. I'm going to share a thought that I have. I'm going to let you know, but it's me being me, right? With myself. And there have been more times than I should admit, because it's also horrible sounding, that I've looked back at the story of my day, or I'll look back at a reel that I have made of a vlog of something that I have done. After I've, creatively edited it and built a beginning, middle, and end and found things that I thought might be funny. And I'll watch them again because I found them funny and they entertain me. So a lot of it, it sounds really selfish, but I think ultimately what your podcast is about and the conversations that you're having are, how can we find the best ways to be the best to ourselves and feel the best? And I think that there are moments that I absolutely struggle with finding the me that I like, but it has been a constant. I always come around or out of a fog or out of a darkness back into a light where I can see that, oh my gosh, I'm right here again. I feel the me that I like. I'm laughing and singing with the me that I like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And those are just, at least in my experience, the highest of highs. Loving yourself, having the best time with yourself, because you're stuck with this person.
Yeah. And we can make it miserable for us.
We absolutely can.
And we're trying to learn, I'm sorry, but we're trying to learn either with the help of therapists or incredibly supportive friends when we're not quite in a space where we might need a therapist, how to find tactics, listen to points of view to say, right, get out of that kind of thinking, get out of that kind of behavior, because those kinds of behaviors can really pull us to a place where we might need more assistance and more guidance.
Absolutely. But human connection is the most important asset that any of us have, whether that is a trusted therapist, a trusted friend, or yourself.
Or yourself, yeah, when you trust yourself.
That's human connection as well. But we are not alone, no matter how much we may think so. Thank you for being here today, Ezra.
Thank you for asking me.
I appreciate it. Cut. Hi there, my beautiful friends. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of The VOlnerable. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, please check out the description for a list of trusted resources that me and my mom, who is a licensed psychologist, came up with. You can like and subscribe, that's all great, but I would love if you could comment and share your story with us, and share this video with a friend who you think might need it. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Great. There is take one.